Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech number 31, going over the best and worst commanders for EDH. Now, I know that this is a bit of a difficult topic to go over because somewhere in this process I'm going to be telling people that their kids are bad. This is a topic that I've avoided for a significantly long period of time. In fact, it's the topic that won the poll over what topic I should do when I got 10,000 views on YouTube. Now, this topic is a clear trap, and I know that there's going to be some people who are very unhappy with me when I'm done telling them that their kids are bad. I do kind of like traps, which is why I'm doing the video anyways. The main criteria that we're looking at here, or really the only criteria, is how much fun a particular commander is. It's fun to play, fun to build around, fun to play against. EDH is a casual format. If you want to play a format that is about combos, winning as fast as possible, and locking people out, I'm happy to go play in Legacy, but this is EDH and the focus is on fun. I could have done this video very easily by just choosing the commanders that are terrible, that work very poorly as commanders. All three of these commanders are terrible because they don't really add anything to EDH. They don't work from the command zone, or they cause you huge problems. Although I should mention that I have seen a pretty good phase deck that used Torpor Orb, but it was despite the commander that this deck worked really well. In the number 5 spot here, I have my first commander that I ever played with, Memnarch. Now, I may be a little bit of a control player. I play Legacy. I love myself some Force of Wills and the ability to dominate the game with massive card and permanent advantage. Memnarch definitely does that. If this was about competitive commanders, Memnarch may even be at the top of the list. But the number of people that I made unhappy by playing this deck was incredibly large. Memnarch is not fun for other people. In fact, they hate him to the point that I would get attacked by everybody else on the table, occasionally able to pull out a win, but attacked by everyone right off because they really don't like their stuff being stolen again and again and again. In the number 4 spot here, I have Animar, and I actually really kind of like this commander. He allows some cool stuff to be done, but I have yet to see him in a degraded combo deck that doesn't try to go off on turn 3 or 4, returning everybody's permanents and making lots and lots of mana. It destroys the interaction in the game and is way too much combo bait. I don't think this is necessarily the commander's fault, it's just everyone I know who happens to play this commander. In the number 3 spot here, I've got 2 of the best dueling commanders out there, but both of these commanders just bring on hate from the rest of the table and only provide a negligible small advantage in multiplayer. For the amount of hate that you get from these and the amount of not fun other people have, I definitely recommend not playing Mythic Clique or Teferi. In the number 2 spot here, I've got Kiki-Jiki, and I actually really like him, but I've yet to see him where he is not used for degraded combos. There are a lot of fun things that you can do with Kiki-Jiki, and if there's a way to just limit the number of times he could be activated in a turn, this guy might actually be a fun EDH card. I would love to see a red-green version of Kiki come out that can only be activated once per turn. In fact, I would love to have him as a commander to my red-green Stompy deck, but that's another story altogether. The number 1 spot here, probably already guessed it if you saw my white video, it's Iona. Iona shuts down single color decks, and there's nothing more miserable than being the single color deck at the table that the Iona player has chosen to go after. Anytime I see somebody use Iona as a commander, or even have Iona in their deck, I go after them right away because it shuts down the interaction, the politics, and the fun of EDH. I wish they would just ban Iona. She shouldn't be allowed as a commander. The power is way too powerful in an environment where Karakas is already banned. Now Kaalia here, I've got a really divided relationship with. Many people pushed me to put Kaalia on the list because many Kaalia decks also include Iona and are merely exact copies of each other, dropping giant dragons and angels into play for little to no cost and causing people a lot of havoc. Although I've seen several Kaalia decks that were fun to play against and this is one of the best commanders for getting new people into the game. Kali is actually a very balanced commander. She's a 2/2, she has to attack, she brings out other things that attack. It really depends on how she is built. If I'm going to get someone into EDH, this is a great, fun gateway commander that adds interaction. And as long as you don't put Iona into the same deck as Kalia, you can have a pretty interactive, fun game of EDH. On the number 5 spot here, I've got Trostani and Reese, and this was really tough for me to decide which one to put here. But what I really like about these commanders is they allow you to build a creative, interesting deck around them. You can do life gain, tokens, the populate ability is great, which both of these basically have, and these commanders make wonderful additions to decks, but act as an enabler for an interesting strategy. And that's what an EDH commander really should do to be a strong commander. In the number 4 spot here, I've got Mimeoplasm, and he would be higher on this list if he wasn't a bit of a rules nightmare, as you kind of need a level 2 judge to come over and explain how he works every time he comes out. But this is another card that it's a lot of fun to build around. It deals a lot with interaction of other people. You can use a mill strategy or a reanimator strategy. He's got some nice colors to him, and he feels like he embodies that blue, green, black side. This is a great commander, very happy to see him, and I would like to see more commanders in this style of really trying to embody the idea of several different colors at once. In the number 3 spot here, I've got Maelstrom Wanderer, another new 3-color commander with double cascade and haste for all your creatures. Yes, this guy can be played in ridiculous combo decks where he's followed up with Jackal Hops and an instant win, but he can also be played with some of the biggest, coolest spells out there and can be part of a more interactive, interesting game. Double cascade just beats up on counter spells, and there's something about having fun that's highly related to beating counter spells. I love this commander overall. He also looks really nice in foil, the new commander arsenal. This is actually my favorite card that was printed in it. In the number 3 spot here, I have Scion, and I particularly do not have Horde of Notions and Child of Alara. And I'm putting all 3 on here because I really want you to contrast the difference between a great commander like Scion and a bad commander like Child of Alara, or an okay commander like Horde of Notions. Child of Alara was my first 5-color deck, and it draws hate from the whole table. It really just gets in the way of everybody else's strategy. It makes you the target, and other people know that they're not going to have fun when you board wipe every single turn. Horde of Notions has a little bit of a build-around strategy to it, enables the 5-color deck, and has some interesting flavor to it, a nice ability that is related to the flavor of it, but it is nowhere near as much fun for your opponents as Scion. I don't know what it is, but people love to be beat by dragons. I could attack somebody several times with Child of Alara, and they were only angry because they knew that I could board wipe at any point. But if I come at somebody with Scion and a horde of dragons, they're happy to see dragons beating their face in. I don't know what it is. There's something about dragons in particular and EDH that makes dragons fun for other people also. Top spot here, I've got Feldegriff and an honorable mention to Braids, because both of these commanders I have seen in abusive combo decks, but also in fun group politic decks and in interactive decks that allow other people an advantage to do the things they want to do while also getting yourself an advantage. One of the coolest things you can do in Commander is come up with a strategy where you enable other people to do what they want to do and you do what you want to do yourself as part of the process. Feldegriff I've also seen as one of the few commanders used in Pauper Commander, where he will be the only non-common, and it makes a wonderful build around. But with both of these commanders, you have the opportunity to give your opponents hope, to let them do fun things. They're entertained by seeing these come out, and you can also enable some really interesting strategies with them. But the takeaway here on what makes a good commander or a bad commander is actually not the commander. It's the style of deck that is built around it and what type of a focus you have in creating that deck. I actually think that any of these commanders on either list could be used to be a really good commander if you have that group interaction, that politics, and that focus on having fun with commander in mind. Thanks. This has been Brian Rowe with the best and worst commanders, a topic that was put forward for Mythic MTG Tech after we got 10,000 views on YouTube. I'll be looking for a new video when we hit 100 subscribers. So if you have any ideas for topics on that particular video, let me know. I'm always looking for new topics. Thanks.